beautiful people, and thank you for joining us. I am Dr. Carvajal, and this is Techno Aesthetics. I'm very excited about this new initiative, and this is actually part of the so many new stuff that we have going on for you for this year. So in today's topic, we're going to be talking about how to interpret the needs, concerns, and expectations of our patients. Many times patients come to us confused, discouraged, and desperate for answers. And some of the common statements that I have heard myself too include: the effect of that filler does not last. Every time you work on my face, my skin gets darker. I don't understand or trust your products. My skin feels very sensitive after each treatment. Well, these are just a few examples of the many things that we hear from our patients. Now, how do we translate this information? When the patient tells us that they do not understand our product, primarily what they're telling us is, I don't know where those products come from, I don't know what they're made of. Teach me, I want to understand so that I can appreciate what is it that product is important and why is that the right product for me. When the patient tells us, hey, that filler does not last, have you changed your filler, have you changed your product, where does it come from? What they're actually telling you is more the skin that is not ready for treatment. Remember that our skin is an organ that needs stimulation, is a live organ that needs to be fed, meaning nutrition is crucial. So before considering any cosmeceuticals, we need to understand and make sure that the skin is actually ready for the filler. A filler is actually sugar for our skin, which means that if we do not prep it before, the filler is not going to hold as long as we would expect it to. And also, when they tell us that the skin is getting darker, pigmentation increases and so forth, there's many factors that could be causing this. Let's remember that our body is all about chemicals. And what that means is that we are what we eat. The same rule applies to the skin, meaning based on the products and based on the things that we eat, there's preservatives. There's also different chemical imbalances that occur when we're sick, and even when the product overreacts to the skin. Maybe the patient is sick, let's say the patient went on a cruise, came back, they had a lot of alcohol, and let's say that they're taking a particular medication because they're undergoing a disease or an illness. So these are things that we need to understand, because chemically these elements will interact with each other, and our skin, being such a wise organ, is going to actually react not only intrinsically but to the surroundings. So when the patient comes to us, always go through your ABCs, meaning even though we know who our patient is, we already went through our counseling, we need to make sure that that body, that skin is ready for our treatment. Fillers are very, very specific, and that's another subject that I will point out in the future. If you have any questions, here, to answer them. Our staff is currently waiting on any questions or any future information that you may want us to consider, any topics of concern, or if you need support in particular material, let us know. We can cater to those in both languages. Continuing on with the different questions that the patient can address to us, include the fact that they want someone to listen to them. When they come to you, they're actually consenting, they're agreeing to you. So written acknowledgement is very, very important. Not only to the extent that gives you that security that the patient is in understanding and they're committing to follow your instructions. So you need written information that you will keep, and then in the future, if they just translate it into, hey, you didn't tell me, I didn't know about it, then you can always go back to that documentation. Patient guideline after treatment is very, very important, because it's a reminder that what you're doing is important to them, is needed, and that you're making yourself available to them. Moving along with the different products that you may want to bring in based on the procedures, keep in mind that prepping the skin is crucial. Do not ever think that just plain water will prep your skin. We need to follow sepsis guidelines. And by me saying that, always use your protective gear, cover your mouth, your hair must be tied back, wear gloves. Also, Sharpies must be control. So always have your red box for Sharpies accessible, and make sure that the equivalent disposables are available. When you're prepping the patient's skin, you need to decide whether or not that patient is due for a facial. A facial is important, once again, because it allows for the skin to be at peace with you. If you proceed with a patient that just walk out through that door and wants a facial or wants a Botox without giving it the right preparation, you're just setting yourself for failure. That patient comes to you because someone gave them your references, they saw your ad, or perhaps they are just a family member. You don't want to just focus on quantity, but quality as well. So always make sure that you brand your services by creating an environment, by creating an experience that talks your patient's language. You need to understand who they are, what's important to them, what's their background, what type of products or procedures they're currently using, because that will give you a clear idea as to what extent, as to what level you can talk to your patient. Some patients, maybe they just come to us because they heard something on the news, or they read an article, or a friend told them about a recent procedure, and they just come to us thinking that they're candidates for that. Our job, our skincare professionals, is not just to do hands-on, but to educate our patients and make sure that whatever treatment that we're designing for them makes sense, primarily based on what they need. Moving along to the different products that we can actually bring into the treatment, as you will remember, a lot of patients nowadays, they come from procedures, but then at the same time, they want to be able to go back to their routine. Going back to dark pigmentation and increasing in dark spots in there's different ways that we can actually control that. We do have, remember, our makeup, which is very, very discreet when it comes to bruising and when it comes to skin protection. There's different ways that you can actually control bleeding or swelling on the patient, perhaps arnica, or if you want a more profound formula, always ask us about what products there are available that will control and prep the skin correctly. When you're dealing with the sun, especially in the state that we're at, it's a sunny state, you want to make sure that the patient is using the right amount and they're actually practicing the right frequency of sunblock protection. You may think that sunblocking is just being at the beach or being at the park or being exposed to the sun. Be surprised that even artificial light is also a factor that's currently affecting us. With technology, even our phones, our tablets, our laptops, our PCs are also agents that affect pigmentation and alter pigmentation on our skin. So it's very important to let the patient know to be diligent about the use of sunblock protection, not just on the sun rays, but also on the environment. It's a good way, it's a good practice. Very important, once again, manipulation. A lot of patients are curious and they want to know exactly where you treated them, so they start touching, they start pressing, they're curious. Very important, the before, during, and after consultation. Go back and forth with them and let them know whether or not it's okay to massage. I would rather say no, you need to come to me, but their job primarily is to keep that skin clean at their at all courses, based on the regime that we designed to them. Also, sunblock protection is very important. When it comes to what comes next, when the patient follows through with another visit, always examine, go back, answer questions, make yourself available to them. When you're dealing with the face, it's all about who we are, and your work is just imprinted on their face. So design a program that's based on their expectations, but always taking into consideration that every patient is different, every skin is different, and that every treatment must be designed based on the environment that they're working on, their age level, and if they're next and if they're ready for the next level. There's a lot of products, there's a lot of treatments out there, and there's many ways that you can actually get the same results. So you're not limiting yourself to injectables. There's machineries, there's instruments that have been designed that they're really great alternatives for patients to have no downtime. For those that are currently joining me, this is Dr. Carvajal at Techno Aesthetics, and this is just an example of the so many initiatives that we are designing for you for this coming year. We have a variety of products and also machineries, not to mention educational options for you to help you be more familiarized with new strategies, or if you feel insecure about certain techniques, let us know. We will design and cater our training to you in the different languages. And once again, we appreciate the opportunity, and please connect with us through social media. Send us your information if you just want to be part of our newsletter. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us through chat or by the various social media dynamics that we have available right now. Okay, well, thank you for watching and wish you a wonderful week.